I thought to myself, it's my last video that I'm recording this year, so I may as well suck out the helium of this balloon I got for my birthday.
What is going on? What is going on, everyone? How are you doing? I hope you're doing good, because it is good to feel good. Yes, it is. And you know what? It's the last video I'm recording this year, and I thought, you know what? Use all the helium that I got from this balloon I had for my birthday. There's no way we're gonna top this. There's no way we're gonna. And I love how it just transitions into me back into my normal voice. So, as I was saying there, this is officially my last video that I'm recording this year. And now that I think about it, it's also my last video that I'm going to be recording this decade as well, which is a bit mad to think about when you put things into perspective, because at the start of this decade I was just turned 13 and, you know, I was living life as a teenager, and now I'm 23, a full-fledged adult, and it's like, what the hell just happened? But yeah, no, it's mad to think all that time has flown by. But of course, we're not talking about this decade, although now that I mentioned that on the topic of this decade, I do hope to kind of like do a kind of look back at this decade. Do we even know what this decade is called? Because of course, in the last decade, like, nobody knew really what it was going to be called. Were they like, should we call it the 2000s or the noughties? And then this decade, I guess you could call it the 2010s or the 10s, although saying that doesn't really have the same kind of ring to it. Although, of course, next decade we will be going into the 20s again. So, yeah, answers on a postcard, please. So what I wanted to do with this video is to kind of talk back about, you know, this year as a whole, you know, some of my personal highlights, you know, what I really enjoyed getting up to, and then towards the end of the video I'll like talk about a few things that I've already got planned for next year, and also kind of vaguely what's happening next decade. So yeah, I guess without further ado, let's get my water, because I've got a lot to talk about and I haven't planned anything. So yeah, let's get cracking with this. Okay, that's the last of the helium. So of course this year we got off to a very good start with this year, and that was with January. So I can't take myself seriously like this. So of course the year starts off as it always does with January, and I'll be completely honest, January was quite a quiet month for me because of stuff. I mean, I guess I was just working a fair bit, but then I did make an effort to go and see a few of my friends when we all went out in London back at the end of January, and that was a fun night. Although now that I remember it, the Airbnb that me and Steven stayed in was quite claustrophobic because there was no windows or anything, so it just felt like you were in some kind of like foreign prison cell. Like, although saying that, considering it was an Airbnb, there's no chance in hell that it's going to be like a foreign prison cell. I don't know what I'm saying, but yeah, that's just the kind of vibe that I got. But that was a really enjoyable night. I got to meet up with Steven, Kieran, Josh, Coral, Becca. We went out for a meal. We went to Ask, because you only need to ask where you need to go, eh? And then we went back to our Airbnb. We had quite a few drinks, because that's what you do when you're with your friends. Just have a fun old sesh with the drinks. And also we did our Secret Santa as well, which is, well, belated Secret Santa, considering we hadn't met up over the Christmas period, and it was a kind of a case of like, oh yeah, now we get to decide, now we get to choose what we pick for people. So in terms of Secret Santa, so Kieran was my Secret Santa, and in return I was his Secret Santa. So so what he got me was AJ Styles pendant and also a Hardy Boys wristband, which I really liked, and then in return I got him this.
I feel like
I love that, just considering the fact that, you know, I didn't know how he would react, and I think we all just could not stop crying with laughter just seeing that. So yeah, and also now that I mention it, it's the opening shot of my 2019 Rewind, which comes out in a couple of days, so look forward to that when it comes out.
February was kind of a quiet month, I guess, and then March, me and my family went to Morocco, which I really enjoyed that, and considering the fact that it nearly didn't happen, considering I'd lost my rucksack in the airport, and I was like genuinely freaking out, thinking, where the hell could I have left it? And then I realised, oh, I'd left it just by like passport control. Silly Ollie. But apart from that little blunder, you know, the trip was very fun. We got to explore a bit of Marrakesh. We went out quad biking. We went out, where did we go? We went out camel riding. Because no one else wanted to do it, I went to the Olliewood Falls, which is about a few hours outside of Marrakesh, and that was a very fun day, you know, getting to see a few cheeky monkeys. And also I went against TLC's advice and I went to go chase some waterfalls, so that was all good. And I really enjoyed the guide that we had on the day, Ibrahim. He had a lot of good banter with us, you know, very informed about, you know, the surrounding areas of the Olliewood Falls, and he's just really nice, and he was top notch. I really enjoyed that day. Then just a few weeks later, of course, I'm gonna say this right now, but this was the personal highlight of me for this year, was going to New York, although quite ironically not the highlight that I wanted was how it started off, because of course there was another blunder. There's a recurring theme of travel blunders this year, and I'm hoping when I go to Japan next week that I don't have a similar blunder. Of course I am referring to when my flight booking was booked as Ollie Walker and not Oliver Walker, which is my official name, and I had to go back and forth to try and sort things out. Eventually we did manage to rectify it, but it's just, now I know, I guess for future reference, that I should, you know, pay close attention to what I'm booking, because yeah, that wasn't fun. That was not fun at all. Apart from that blunder, New York was such a fun experience for me, not just for like, you know, the wrestling that I saw, because I saw a fair bunch of wrestling while I was out there, but of course I got to see a few bits of New York, you know, Central Park, Times Square, went up the Empire State Building, went up One World Trade Center, and yeah, it was just nice to see the city, like, because I've heard about it so much, and like, you know, a lot of films, TV shows, video games, comics, and all that lot. And it was just nice to finally be in New York, and also it, in a way, it did feel like a nice change of pace from always going to California each year. And yeah, that was a fun trip. And although I did say it was the highlight, my personal highlight of this year was of course going to WrestleMania, which I had always wanted to do since I was a child, and finally getting to do it was just amazing. Like, and every year had went past and I'd be like, oh, I really wouldn't mind going to WrestleMania. And like, I remember there was a point the year before where, like, after WrestleMania 2 years ago, I got in contact with a bunch of people and we discussed the idea of potentially going to WrestleMania. Unfortunately, a lot of people pulled out, and so we had to put the kibosh on it, but finally getting to do it by myself and just, you know, experience it for all that, it was just amazing. I think some of my personal highlights from the show were included seeing Kofi Kingston finally winning the WWE Championship after all those years he'd been with the company, Becky Lynch winning both the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships in the main event of WrestleMania, which of course was the first time ever that a women's match had main evented WrestleMania, so that was amazing. I'm trying to think what else happened on the show. Batista took part in his retirement match, Kurt Angle took part in his retirement match, the less said about that the better. I'm trying to think what else happened. It's so long ago, but I kind of vaguely remember it. That's really weird, but overall it was a really good show, and yes, it did last forever, but I really did enjoy it. Literally just a few days after coming back from New York, I went out on a night out with my friends in Birmingham, and that was a very fun night out because it was just nice to catch up with them, see what they were getting up to, and just, you know, have a nice night at Pop World, because that's what you do when you're with your mates and you want to go for a nice night out. The following month was a bit quiet as well. I took part in Rough Runner again, which, that was, where's my medal from it? It was, I can't remember which medal it was, so it's one of these, it's this medal here. And I love it for the fact that it just doubles as a bottle opener, so I don't know why I haven't taken advantage of that yet, because that's something really cool. Like, you know, you know, you've just done, you know, say like a 5k or a 10k or a 15k run, fun run that day, and you're like, oh, I've got this medal, it doubles the bottle opener, don't mind if I do. I'll be honest, I didn't put as much training into it as I did last year when I took part in the event, but, you know, I still powered on through. I had a fun time doing it. I lost one of my GoPros at the point, although now that I say that, I did get the GoPro returned to me, so that was all well and good. And yeah, that was fun. That was really fun, and also managing to complete the Travelator again with no messing up. That was nice. And then literally just a few days later, I went to go see Take That with my mum. That was it's a very mum thing now that I mention it. Like, you know, even on the day I saw many kids with their mums, and it was just like, considering how my mum would have known Take That from when they first formed back in 1989, all the way through to when they split up in 1996, coincidentally the year I was born, and then 10 years later when they reunited originally as a 4-piece, and then Robbie came back to as a 5-piece back in 2010, and then having since been a 3-piece since 2014. So yeah, it's like, I really enjoyed the show. It was nice to, like, you know, sing along to songs that I knew from like the time that I knew Take That, and then also like discovering songs that, you know, my mum would have known when she was knew Take That back then. Oh, it's good. And it was really good. I don't know what else I'm trying to say about that, but I really enjoyed that. I'll be completely honest, so with the summer, it was a very busy summer for me because I wasn't going to America again like I do every year, which I have done the last few years rather, and it just, yeah, something felt a bit off about that. So I guess it was a nice change of pace to not be going for a change, but also did feel a little bit mad that, you know, I was working throughout most of the summer without stopping at all. So yeah, so in that summer I did go to the YouTube space with some of my friends. We went to an LGBT pride themed party which happened I was about to say, where did it happen? I already said what it happened, at the YouTube space. That was a very fun night, and it was again, talking about the healing balloon, even though I've sucked it all out now, that was a nice thing to call back. And also, now that I mention it, it was around that time 2 years prior that I had just come back from California that year, and I'd just gone to the YouTube space to just surprise everyone, and then like they weren't expecting me to be there, so I was like, oh yeah, let's just go along and surprise. And sure enough, it did catch a lot of people off guard on that night. So that was really cool to be back there, and, you know, just celebrating LGBT pride with a lot of my friends. Then the following month was Summer in the City, although now that I say that, it's now technically Social in the City, Summer Edition, although a lot of people will still refer to it as like Summer in the City and such. So just before I start on this city section, I'm not going to try and slag off the event. That's not what I'm here to do, because where's the fun in that, and just makes me look like a negative Nancy, and I don't want to come off as a negative Nancy. But I did understand that there was, like, from a few perspectives, why there was quite a bit of decline in quality this year for City, which I think is unfortunate for the event, considering I've attended the event now 7 years in a row, and it's always been fun. But I did notice this year in particular there was a lot that was lacking, I felt. So yeah, that was a bit unfortunate really. But apart from all that, I did enjoy, you know, the event for a few things. For example, I went to a few panels. I even appeared on a panel at one point. I appeared on Jackmate's Happy Hour podcast, I remember them saying it would, like, they were originally going to record a live podcast, but just hadn't had the chance, you know, sort anything out on the day. So, but you know what? It was fun to take part in that panel, and I really enjoyed that one. But I will say one of my highlights of the weekend was, of course, hanging out with my friends. Now, again, like, I find it a bit mad how we all pay like 60 quid to come to this event, and then, like, if anything, we could have all just, you know, come down to London and just not go to the event and just hang out there. I don't know, but yeah, no, I did enjoy the company of my friends at City. Guess for the rest of August, it was quite quiet again, working a lot, all that stuff. September was quite interesting as well, actually. Started off by going to Coral's birthday shindig. Me and Stephen showed up, and in fact, Stephen had told Coral like literally a week before or something that he wasn't going to be able to come along, but he did, so fair play, Stephen. Like, we met him at me and my dad met him at the station, then we went to go along, and and we came with the 24 balloons, although considering the fact that they're just moving over, I was like, oh look, they're 42 balloons, so maybe Coral's 42. And then later in the month, I went to go see Progress's, what did I see of them? There was their Natural Progression Series tournament, which is basically like, it's a tournament for up and coming British wrestlers, although saying that there was a few, there was one guy who was from Germany, and then there was also another guy who was from Ireland on that show. So yeah, it's not just exclusive to like British talent, so I really enjoyed that show. And considering the winner of it is Scotty Davis, young Irish lad, really cool lad he is. And then the following day was of course their big show at Alexandra Palace, which I had a massive fun time at that show, just considering how it's shows like these that I really enjoy, and having been a wrestling fan of many years, it kind of puts it into perspective to necessarily say, ooh, I might think about wanting to pursue something like this a little down the line. So just a little thing to think about. I don't know, this might sound a bit vague, but you know, by this time at the end of the next decade, I could be a professional wrestler. You never know. The possibilities are endless. And then later in September, I went to Croatia, which for me was kind of like my belated summer holiday, and I really enjoyed that trip just because it was just nice to, you know, get away for a little bit of time and just have a fun one. And I did have a fun one while I was out there, because I was able to meet so many like-minded people who love traveling as well, a bit like myself, and just make friends from all that. And then also getting to, you know, experience a few cool bits to do. For example, I went hiking up to the fort at the top of the hill overlooking Dubrovnik. I went on a kayaking tour around Lochram Island. I went on a boat trip around the Elefiti Islands. Although now that I say that, I remember pronouncing them as the Elefishki Islands, even though I don't even know how it's pronounced, but I think it might just be the Elefiti Islands. So yeah, that was me making those little mistakes on those vlogs. And then of course on my penultimate day, I went to Mostar in Bosnia, which, now that I think about it, even though I've been to 4 different countries this year, I've been to 3 new countries. So I went to Morocco, new country, Croatia, new country, and Bosnia and Herzegovina, which is another country as well. So yeah, so 3 new countries this year, which I found was a bit cool. And you know, I've got a few more countries coming up, and I'm really looking forward to all that. October, I guess, was another quiet month for me, but November, you know, picked up a bit, I guess, and that was, you know, it was my birthday in November. I went out to celebrate with my family, and then of course later in the week I went out to celebrate in London with my friends, which was another very fun night. You know, we were just all met up, and you know, we went out for dinner, went out for some drinks, and yeah, it flowed really nicely. So I really enjoyed that night, and all the shenanigans that ensued on that night as well. And then later that week I also went up to Manchester to the Christie, who are the chosen charity that I partnered with ahead of doing Rough Runner, much like I did last year. And it was just really nice to, you know, be back at the Christie and, you know, meet people who, you know, had fundraised for them, who worked for the Christie, who also have been treated, who have been patients at the Christie as well. And it's just nice to, you know, hear from all different experiences on how through fundraising it's helping out a lot for the Christie this year, and especially considering a lot of the fundraising that happens for them, a lot of that goes towards, you know, new researchers and new research and development, new projects to, you know, better improved care for patients and staff, and like, you know, everyone benefits from all that. And it's really nice to see that they are the ones who, you know, who are taking the fight to cancer, and it's impressive, and I really enjoy their work. And again, very nice to, you know, partner with them again for all this. This month's been a bit of a quiet one for me as well. I mean, I guess I've just been really busy in the lead up to Christmas, so that's natural, I guess. So here we are now, just a few days after Christmas, and yeah, we're basically at this is the end game. much like Avengers Endgame, which came out earlier this year. But yeah, we're at the finishing line of not just the year of 2019, but also this decade as a whole. And yeah, no, it's been a fun year. I'm gonna miss some things about this year, and I know I will be completely honest, it has been a very quiet one on me for YouTube this year. I know I haven't uploaded as frequently as I have done in previous years, but I guess I kind of wanted to take a little backseat from doing it. Like, don't get me wrong, I do love making videos, but I just wanted to take that backseat and just, you know, not upload as often as I have done in the past, but just, you know, I guess realistically speaking, the most consistently that I've been uploading was when I've been uploading vlogs from like my travels this year. So there's that. But I guess we'll see how next year plays out in terms of YouTube. I mean, obviously I've got my vlogs. I'll be vlogging when I'm out in Japan, so there's a little something to look forward to there already. Yeah, I guess we'll just have to see how it plays out next year. If I want to continue making videos, or, you know, if I want to still kind of quieten down, I guess. We'll just have to wait and see. So I guess now that we're at this point in the video, I guess it's now time to say what am I looking forward to in 2020 and also kind of the next decade as a whole. So first things first, of course, as I have mentioned, I'm in fact literally just a few days time, I'm going off to Japan, which I find a bit mad to think, you know, this is something that has been coming around for so long. I've booked this all back in July, and it's just about to happen. What the hell? Oh, it's come around so quickly, so I'm looking forward to flying out there on New Year's Day. Later in the year, I'm going off on a little family excursion to La Rochelle in France, although now that I mention it, it'll be the first time going to an EU country after Brexit, so yeah, that's gonna be awkward, and considering I'm opposed to the idea of Brexit, there we go, I said it. We'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. I was gonna discuss the political landscape for this year, but you know what, I could just save that for another time. I'm not, of course, not happy with the result of the election, but I guess that's what the people have voted for, so we have to move on from it. And I guess we can only really say, you know, if things start to screw up for Boris Johnson, then obviously we can hold him to account on that. And I guess, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see how that turns out. But that was a weird little tangent to go from talking about, oh yeah, I'm going off to France and it'll be the first time after Brexit, and then it just turned into that. That was completely off topic. And also, this is just me vaguely speaking, but I would really like to go back to California at some point next year. Now, of course, I didn't do it this year, and it did feel a bit weird not going, but I understand I had other priorities that I wanted to do for this year, so I guess there's a good chance I might go out to California again next year. Now, don't take my word for it, it might not transpire, but I would love to go back, so yeah, a little something to think about as well. As the decade as a whole, I've realised a few things are coming up. So in this decade, by 2021, I would have celebrated 10 years on YouTube of this YouTube channel, so gotta look forward to that when 2021 rolls around. And then in 2026, I've realised I'm gonna be turning 30. Bloody 30, how did that happen? So that'll be mad to think I would have lived through, at that point, through 4 different decades. That's just crazy. But obviously that's a bit of time away from that happening, so I guess for now I can enjoy the rest of my 20s, and yeah, I don't really know what else to say with this video, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see how this, like, not just this year, this following year, but also this decade plays out. So yeah, it should be a good one. So that's where I'm gonna leave you here for the last time in 2019 and this decade. And I guess I shall leave you with some advice, and that is to enjoy yourself, stay safe, and make the most of every opportunity that comes your way. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys have a happy new year, and peace.